Good morning. We had a Monday night football doubleheader last night. A lot of football. One game was very interesting. It was a walk-off. That was the late game that nobody would probably be watching because the only place was ESPN Plus. I'm not sure why they did that. I have ESPN Plus, by the way. In fact, just on my Comcast bill, I just paid for the whole year. But so I don't quite get that. And then the one that everybody saw was decided early, not even a close football game, and I was sad for our good friend, TJ Reeves. He had to watch the Lamar Jackson Baltimore Ravens just absolutely beat the heck out of them. And then in the end, they lost two wide receivers. So we've got a lot on the NFL today. We are going to talk with Jeff Moore, as we always do, to put a bed to week number 7. And then we will chat with Mike Keith, the voice of the Titans. That was the tale of two halves. They gave Buffalo a good battle in Buffalo first half. And I thought Mason Rudolph actually looked decent first half. Not so much second half. We'll get into all of that with Mike. And then, of course, we open in just a few minutes with Steve Earhart on the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, the crazy SEC, and everything else. So now, breaking news. Just a few moments ago, he's back. I don't think he ever left. I think there was some misreporting on this. And the guy with all the news in this regard, because he covers the Tigers so well, that would be our own Brian Dacus. What's the story? He's back now.
I mean, what a story
Tyreek?
This is on the eve of the season, Dave. Yeah, so it sounds like he's back. Jason Munns reported this morning that he is at practice today. And this comes after, obviously, we talked about it, the original reporting that he was going to be leaving the program, and he had asked for a couple days, but he was going to step away completely.
Now, let's point this out. This was one report, and I'm
correct,
a little
correct.
confused because
Exactly.
you know these social media websites better than I do.
Yes.
There's the Hitman.
That's
who
correct.
I think
And
is a kid in Indiana that breaks all these stories.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where he's located, but yes,
Like,
you're on the right track.
And he stays pretty anonymous, this
yes,
dude.
correct.
But he seems to be fairly well connected, if we're going to be honest about it. And then, is that tied in with Bluff City? And who broke the story? Was it Hitman? Was it Bluff City?
It was Hitman. At least he was the first person I saw with that news.
This is the first time we see him really wrong, right?
Exactly. And so, he put that out Sunday night, I guess. And then about 15 minutes later, Jason Munns, Parth, they put out that they received a statement, or they asked for a statement from the university, and the university statement to them was basically, he asked for a day or two away from the program, and, just, hey, coach, can I miss practice today? I got something to do. I'll be back. And that yesterday we kind of learned maybe there was a situation behind the scenes. His mentor, Boog Knight, who was very active on social media yesterday.
Isn't he sort of like a PR guy or somehow a
Correct.
management in music of some kind?
Well, so from my understanding, I could be completely wrong because I'll be completely honest, I had never heard of Boog Knight before yesterday afternoon.
Nor had I.
From my understanding, he is a representative for Young Money Sports, which I guess Young Money is a music label, and I guess he is on their sports team, is from what I understand.
So maybe they're involved in grassroots,
Right.
AAU programs or
Sure.
something because apparently Tyreek Smith has been around this guy,
Yes.
influenced by this
Yes.
guy since he was 14 years old, which I'm assuming this kid's at least 22 now because we tend to think, because we all remember him playing for SMU, this kid started at Texas Tech, went to Oklahoma State, then SMU. This is 4 teams now, 4 schools that he's been involved with.
Yeah, and then so he was very active on Twitter yesterday, kind of calling out different things and saying there's a lot more to this. And then I think Jason Munns tweeted out yesterday afternoon that the two sides were meeting this afternoon, and that there were conversations happening. And now this morning he has reported that Tyreek Smith is in fact back at practice. So it looks like maybe everything's back to being fine, but definitely a wild story.
Well, it was interesting because Boog Knight was talking about how The FedEx money was there,
Sure.
right? But it was the other collective. This bugs me that this collective, I know the person that runs that collective.
Sure.
He is a stand-up guy as far as I really know.
Yeah.
But I don't care for this hiding behind the confidentiality things. Wait a second. This is a public school. This is a contract between you and the athlete of a public school. It's a little like, is the university not by law having to show
Right.
what the contract is between the coach and the school? I don't understand how this is not the same thing. And really, I look forward to the day, and it's coming, where there will still be some NIL, but a percentage of the revenues are going to be coming from the school. Mm-hmm. They will sign contracts, and I believe there will be more oversight by the school itself, whether that's the coach, the AD, a general manager, whatever it may be. There will be more oversight of all these things. So I have your contract where you get a percentage of the revenue, and then you will have your NIL. But that will be contracts too. You can't have these deals like the UNLV quarterback, and
right.
I don't know if that's the case with Tyreek Smith and the Memphis Collective, but I do know that it sure had the impression he didn't get his money. And I know there were times over the last few years that they were rushing to figure out how to get the money in these collectives. So I look forward to those days. And then there should be contracts. And if you are in a contract, and this will actually be a better thing for the whole system, in my estimation, because if you have a contract, part of the revenue and an NIL, it should be a deal where you're signed for a year. There's not going to be this, I can go into the portal. No, you're legally obligated for the year, or as long as that contract is written for. And in the term of bowl games, and I think about that because I know we're about to talk to the big cheese head honcho of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Steve Earhart, you got to play in the bowl game. If you want your money, you got to play in the bowl game. And I am certain, because I think everybody's learned a lesson on this now, you're not paying any upfront money. You're paying by the month or maybe by the week just to make sure that you show up and do your job. I do look forward to that. I'm glad the kid is back. I do think he's an important part of this team. I would not be shocked if he was the starter. And I think he can help. So anyway, a little bit of early drama. Let's hope that's the end of the drama for the University of Memphis basketball team. As I sit in the Family Leisure studio, I remind you there's a fall sale going on, and there's also the spa sale still going on. It's the biggest spa sale, and it's been happening for a while, and it's so successful, the folks at Family Leisure are saying, why not continue it? This is where you can get a brand new state-of-the-art spa starting at $2,900, really a little bit under $2,900. And the cold plunges, the new craze on the West Coast that's making its way across the country. A cold plunge where you jump into ice-freezing water to get your circulation going. Then you can go into the spa after that, too, by the way. That's the double whammy. But those cold plunges are under $4,000. The big Cadillac, the swim spa, just like it says, you can swim in it, or it's a whirlpool. It's huge, and it's $17,499, but there is special financing available. All you got to do is go see Billy, go see Lindsay, go see all the folks at the beautiful Family Leisure, because it's about as good looking as I have ever seen it, the way they've put it together. You need to check it out yourself, and all these sales, where family and fun and sales all come together. I-40 and Wooden Road, it's Family Leisure. Let's go cross town, and I guess I can share this. Mr. Steve Earhart up early today, unusual for him, as I recall. Doctor's appointment, everything okay?
Oh, yeah. Just a little, skin situation as you get older. So everything's fine. But then I know we're on the way to the dentist, so hopefully you got drilled.
Well, this is what happens when you get older. I bit into a caramel, and a tooth that I had, crumbled. Can you believe that?
Oh my goodness!
Well,
you're getting weak in your old age.
It was
David.
a tooth.
You're getting weak.
It was at a tooth that had a root canal on it, so it had already been weakened. And so now,
okay.
what happens. You got to get old when you get older. So now I'm probably going to have to get an implant in that. So, so I'm coming to you for a loan. You know how much those things are? Holy cow!
Okay. Well, all right. Let's talk some football. We're getting ready. Here we are, here halfway through the season, and getting ready for December 27th, Friday evening. A kickoff at 6:00 for the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. We're looking for a great game on our 66th consecutive anniversary date.
All right. Since you say that, it's really an interesting year in one half of your bracket here, the SEC. If I had said to you before the season began that as we enter this halfway point, a little bit after, there would be no undefeated teams in the SEC. There are 2 league undefeated teams, and none of them are Georgia, Alabama, or Texas now. That's hard to believe. LSU and A&M are the only undefeated in league play teams, but none undefeated. What would you have said to me?
Well, actually, it's interesting you bring that up because our AutoZone Liberty Bowl, we were at a little contest. It's still open until Thursday, but we put it out last week. It was the halfway point, and we said there's 11 undefeated teams in the country, and you voted for which team you think would be undefeated at the end of the season. And then the winner would get 2 50-yard line tickets and a night at the Peabody after a game. And so last week we had about 100 entrants. You can still enter today and tomorrow and Thursday, I think, is the deadline because you've got to make your decision now. And so many people last week voted for Texas. Yeah. And, of course,
so they
Texas,
lost now.
They lost. So now, you've still got Army and Navy and Indiana and Liberty and, you've still got a number of teams, BYU, are undefeated. So, again, I'm sorry for those people that voted for Texas because now they're out of the opportunity to win the prize. So I don't know the answer, but I think I don't know whether Notre Dame can take care of Navy. I was talking to ESPN yesterday, and I said, does Navy or Army, they both play Notre Dame, and they both play, I think, in New York City, in different ones in Met Field, and the other one I'm not sure, but Navy plays this week, and I said, because he had been to a Notre Dame game, and I said, does Navy have a chance? He said, look, if they can lose to Northern Illinois, they can certainly lose to Navy. So we'll see whether Navy will be undefeated after this weekend. But, yeah, there's a lot going on, and, yeah, I would have never guessed the way that the SEC, to see Vanderbilt in the top 25 and, beating Alabama at home. Now, I'm afraid that their mystery tour may end with Texas this week, but there's so many good teams in the SEC, top to bottom, when you can say when Vanderbilt can beat Alabama and some great play. I mean, look at the close games. Should Coach Freeze have beaten, Missouri last week?
Yes,
a lot of people think maybe they should have beaten them. And so, the top to the bottom, I went to the Mississippi State game because they were honoring the 10-year anniversary of Coach Mullen and Dak Prescott and so on, and they played Texas A&M pretty close. They got beat, but they were playing with a brand-new rookie freshman quarterback and made a couple of mistakes there and maybe a couple of coaching decisions, but they played them close all the way. So it's a topsy-turvy year, that's for sure.
Is Mississippi State the worst team in the SEC, you think?
They're going to still – I predict they're going to beat somebody, just like Vanderbilt's pulled off a couple of great wins. I think they have enough talent. And if you took a seasoned quarterback and put him in with Mississippi State, they'd be right there with everybody else. But yeah, they're a year away, I think. But they're going to play everybody close from here on in. This is my guess. They've been a lot better since the beginning of the season.
So from that crazy side, I will tell you about the 2 teams that I want in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl.
Okay, let me give you all the national people first.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me give you and then you can decide. Because we collect every week, and those of you who get our blast, or you go to our website at AutoZone Liberty Bowl, libertybowl.org, we collect from CBS, from ESPN, from USA Today, College Football News. So here are the teams from both sides that have been projected to be in our game on December 27th, Friday evening. You got several Vanderbilts, several Arkansas, Missouri, South Carolina, and one that popped up, which we never had in our game before, Oklahoma. That's on the SEC side. And then on the Big 12 side, we've got Cincinnati's, West Virginia's, Texas Tech's, TCU's. So there's a variety of teams from other side. One of the interesting calls is 15 years ago we had that famous Vanderbilt versus Cincinnati game when Butch Jones was the coach of Cincinnati and James Franklin was the coach of Vanderbilt. They both got big jobs coming out of that game. But so now you tell me the Dave Voloshin projection, which may be better than all these others.
Well, really what I have is I want Vandy or Arkansas because I think both of those fan bases would be happy and excited to be in a bowl game. And I think Arkansas is a lock to get in because they've got both Mississippi State and Louisiana Tech on their schedule. They're 4-3. Now, they got other schools they'll be underdogs in, but they're going to win those two games. And that would get Arkansas in. Vandy has to win one because they're 5-2. They have Texas this week, as you already mentioned, at home. I doubt that's going to happen. It's a tough spot to have to play Texas this week after what happened last week. They have at Auburn. That's on the road. It's winnable. I think they'll be the underdog in the game, though. Auburn has underperformed, let's be honest. But so that's a game that you could win. Then you've got South Carolina at home. I hate to say how good South Carolina played against Oklahoma last week. So that's certainly a possibility they could win that game. I don't think they're going to win at LSU or even at home against Tennessee. So I think they got to beat South Carolina or Auburn. That seems to be the dilemma there. I hadn't even thought about Oklahoma in the game, but that would not be bad at all. How about Oklahoma TCU? That might be a good game, Old Southwest Conference game. I had as my Big 12 teams that I was just thinking about was TCU, West Virginia, and I also had UCF in there, and that's a team that you have talked about before. I didn't have really Cincy in there. But I don't know. Is Cincy going to bring a whole lot of people to a place they've come a lot before? I don't know.
Well, they haven't been here for so long, and remember there was the great basketball rivalries, and we always like it when a fan base drives south. So when they're heading south of the weather, whether it's in Iowa State, Kansas State, those kind of schools. So yeah, we'd be happy with any of those. So Dave, you got to go on record now. What's the Voloshin projection here so I can write it down here?
I think Arkansas is going to make it. So I say Arkansas, okay. And then, I don't know. TCU. I'll say TCU.
Okay. I'm writing that down because
I like Dykes. That's why.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that'd be a good deal. And we're really looking forward to that. And, of course, we want to make sure that all the folks here in Memphis, we have so many great sponsors and people that buy when we call season ticket, it's one ticket to the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, but it's one of the great traditions, and we'll have some great halftime entertainment and the patriotic theme of the bowl with our pregame ceremony swearing in the new Navy recruits. So, and Friday afternoon after Christmas, there, December 27th, it'd be time to go have a great time and party at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Friday, December 27th, 6 p.m. kickoff.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about the Army-Navy dilemma here and the position that Mike Oresco has put not just the American in, but I think the College Football Playoff Committee. Because if those two teams, let's say they beat Notre Dame, I don't know that will happen. But let's just say they're in the championship game. I don't think Army's going to lose a game. They got the greatest schedule in the history of the conference. I don't know why they were so accommodated. Maybe it's just coincidence and random. I don't know. But I don't think they're going to lose. Navy could lose. They could lose to Tulane, honestly. But let's just say those two teams were to win out. Just for sheer folly. And they're both undefeated. Because crazy, they hadn't been undefeated, both of them together, this late in the season since 1926. Okay, so this is a crazy year. Well, let's say that occurs. After the championship game, either Army or Navy wins, they're playing again the next week. But the decision, if Boise were to say to lose to UNLV this week or somewhere down the road, and Boise is, because Boise's the favorite, they got a Heisman Trophy candidate to be the G5 rep, but they could slip and they got to win the championship game too. If they choose, because it all works out, Army or Navy, and then the other team won the next week, what kind of egg on your face is that? How could Mike Oresco have allowed that deal to happen? How could he have allowed Army to come in without getting a piece of the Army-Navy game? People may not understand. The Army-Navy game is not a league game. And Memphis, the American gets no revenue from it. I don't understand that deal by Mike. I admire and respect him, but I think he really blew this one.
Well, I'm not sure he had the leverage to do that. But I agree with you. I went on record saying that if they were going to bring Army back into the league, remember they were in Conference USA when Mike Slive was commissioner. Then they struggled until they started, getting their program put back together. Then they left the league, and then they came back in. But they certainly should have required the Army-Navy game, even if you left it out there on that island by itself, the week after the championship game. They should have caused that to be a league game and count. But so I agree with you 100%. Your analysis is right. They should have kept that as a game, but I don't think that the Army-Navy people, and again, they are very powerful congressional people behind them and that kind of thing, that game is such a tradition in over 100 years, and, they were not going to leave that slot, and they were not going to share the money. So I don't think...
Well, then don't do the deal. You don't need Army in the league. Don't do the deal.
That's right. Well, they wanted to have Army come into the league because they wanted to have some extra juice and some extra, pop there when it gets down to Congress, because, in fact, I was a believer that they should have probably brought in Air Force, too, because you have all those 3 government academies supported by the federal government. That's a lot of juice in Congress, and whatever happens down the road with the, everybody says, well, college football has to get an antitrust exemption from Congress. But anyway, so they have the Army-Navy dilemma, and here's I think what's going to happen. They both play Notre Dame, and so it's a non-league game, so it doesn't matter whether they lose that game as far as being able to play in the American championship game. But if either one or both of them loses that game, then I do not think they will be under consideration for the CFP, because if Boise continues to win, their loss against the number 1 team when they had the lead in the fourth quarter and only lost by 3 points on the road would trump a one-loss Army or a one-loss Navy.
No, I agree.
So,
I agree. Boise is in the driver's seat, but Boise could lose.
And if Boise
and they got to win a championship. Remember that.
Yeah, and our old friend Barry Odom plays Boise at home this Friday night. That's going to be a big TV game. Yeah. Everybody in the country is going to be watching that play. But here's the theory: if either Army or Navy goes undefeated, that means beating Notre Dame and winning the championship game, I believe the committee will select them, because they would then they'd be 12-0 and would have won the conference championship game, 13-0. 13-0 in that room, and nobody's going to vote against a service academy that beat Notre Dame in New York City and then won their league and were undefeated.
Well,
I don't care what Boise does.
I think they would be 12-0 because they're going to play the game the next
you're
week.
Right, David.
They would play the game the next week, and that could kill. Because if if the winner lost in the exhibition game, oh my gosh. Anyway, lots of speculation, and we'll all have to wait and see how it plays out. As always, my friend, thank you. We'll talk next week.
Good. And
I didn't mean to do that, but I just chopped him off. But we thank Steve Earhart for sure. We got to take a break. When we come back, Jeff Moore in studio to talk National Football League.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
You're a contractor and you need concrete coating and supplies in Memphis fast, and you get this answer? I think we can order that stuff, but you're going to have to wait a few days for delivery. Why wait? Get your concrete coatings and supplies now at TSS Supply, where everything you need is in stock. If you're working in the tri-state Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi area, everything you need for concrete coating is at TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road, Memphis. TSS Supply specializes only in concrete coatings and supplies all in one place. If you're looking for a particular item, need large quantities, or just have general questions, call 901-729-0565, 729-0565, or you can email your question to Brad at tsssupply.com. The friendly, knowledgeable folks at TSS Supply have over 150 years combined experience in concrete coatings, materials, and supplies. Contractors, are you in town for a job or getting ready to do a job for a customer during their holiday shutdown? Then you should visit TSS Supply for your concrete coatings and supplies. Why wait for materials when TSS Supply has everything you need in stock and they can get it to you today or within 24 hours? TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road.
It's here. Genesis Diamonds, the largest ever sale of luxury products. You can't miss this special 2-day event this Friday and Saturday. During this event, you can take advantage of special pricing, just financing, and a stunning selection of luxury diamonds, hundreds of Musks, Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsi, highest model Rolex watches that you can't find anywhere else. Luxury premium Rolexes are in pristine, light blue condition, some just out of the box. Price to sell this event. Purchase a luxury premium Rolex with this event. Genesis will give you extended.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday is happy hour from 3 to 6 with $1 off all draft meals, $5 off well drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and half off pretzel bites, mozzarella sticks, queso, corn dogs, and pickles. Vinegar Friday night lights from 7 to closing. Dine in and buy 12 wings and get 5 regular wings for free. Come watch college football and every pro game on the weekends. All at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Highway 70. Fall is football.
The best I-dos start with Sissy's Blue. Discover bridal jewelry worthy of your big day at Sissy's Log Cabin, along with our spectacular experience that comes with our promise of exceptional quality, service, and brilliant natural diamonds. Experience our expansive selection when you stop by any of our 6 locations or shop online at sissyslogcabin.com. Find your perfect engagement ring only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Welcome back in. There's a big smile on the face of Jeff Moore. It has nothing to do with the NFL. We're going to get into that in a second, but, you know, he is a volunteer. He did play for Tennessee. Really good because it got him in the NFL with the Los Angeles Rams. But your Vols with a statement win over Alabama. What is that? Just the second time in 18 years they beat Alabama. You know, I thought their quarterback, Iamaleava, I missed a syllable there somewhere. He did not look so good in the first half. Mm-hmm. He looked good in the second half. And Alabama's defense, not like Nick Saban.
Right.
To be honest, although I'm a big Kalen DeBoer's fan and his, following Saban is impossible. But this was a big win because if you look at it, I think this got Tennessee into the college football playoff.
It could.
If you look at their remaining schedule, it's real possible.
Hey, listen, I think one thing we've learned this year about college football and the SEC in particular, you better show up and be ready to play. Arkansas taught us that lesson. So if we can get W's down the stretch, I'm concerned that the offense is not as I think you really challenge a defense with that up tempo. And I'm not sure why Coach Heupel is kind of not consistently going with it. He's kind of huddling up every now and then. But I think you get a defense a break when you do that. And I'm sure there's legitimate reasons why he's doing it. That defense, man, I'm so excited about that front four and that defense. I think that will be the difference that could get the team to the playoffs. But I'm not counting any wins. I don't care who we're playing. They need to be ready to play every week.
Well, I love the Heupel system. And then if you add a running game in like this kid, and Iamaleava is I think he's going to end up being unbelievable. I think he had some growing pains because, let's face it, the Tennessee early season schedule was pretty cushy. I don't know that he got much out of that, but I think he's going to be just fine in the long run. And they got some playmakers. I think it will be a very fun rest of the year for you guys. Let's talk NFL. We are now through week 7, and we're talking about only one undefeated team, Kansas City. There are 2 that are at 5-1. And that would be both in the NFC, the Vikings and Detroit. In Detroit, the big win against the Vikings. There are 2 at 4-2. So if you add all those up, you're talking about a third of the league with only 2 losses. Mm-hmm. Pretty darn good parity.
It is very, very competitive. And you know, Detroit won this weekend against Minnesota, but it was a close game, fought all the way to the end. I think that's going to be the situation in that division because Green Bay is playing great now that they've got Jordan Love back. They had a big win. And Chicago, your Bears, you know, are 4-2. I mean, they're going to be respectable. You got to be ready to play when you play them. So, you know, the NFC for me is still wide open. AFC, yes, Kansas City is above everybody else record-wise, but I think the Ravens are playing much better. They've got more balance. Their defense is playing pretty good. So Kansas City, I wouldn't be surprised to see them drop 1 or 2. They really won some games that were really close. And, of course, Baltimore was just a toe from beating them. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting in the AFC too.
I also found this interesting because almost always, just through 7 weeks, there is a winless team.
Yeah.
Nobody is winless. Everybody's got at least 1 win. We're going to be talking with the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, here in a little bit, but I don't know. Are they the worst team in the league? Is Charlotte the worst team in the league? Who would you pinpoint?
I think Charlotte is the worst team and probably the worst run team in the NFL. You know, the Titans they've got they're in a rebuilding mode. And in that division, they've got a chance. Houston is the only team that's really playing consistently well every week. Jacksonville is up and down. Indianapolis is dealing with injuries. So, you know, the Titans just need to tighten up and just see if they can get to 500. But it's going to be an uphill climb for them. And I anticipated
1-5,
that.
ooh.
Yeah, I anticipated that from the beginning.
Guess where they're playing this week? At Detroit.
Oh, well.
They're looking at 1-6 right off the bat here. It'll be hard for them to get to 500.
Don't be surprised if that game ends up being close. I mean, it's just one of those kind of games where you expect that this team, because of their record, is going to lay down, and don't be surprised.
You got to have a quarterback, right? I think there's so much intrigue, and I hope Jaden Daniels for the Washington Commanders is able to play this week because I think you have the 2 guys that will probably vie for Rookie of the Year. The Commanders are a great story, and I must say, Marcus Mariota stepped in and played pretty good the other day for Washington after Daniels got hurt in the second quarter with ribs. I want him to play because I think that would really be an intriguing matchup with Caleb Williams. But if you look last night, Lamar Jackson, 281 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's pretty impressive, and he can run. Kyler Murray did run. He used his feet, a 44-yard touchdown run that got Arizona in front. Those are quarterbacks. I kind of felt bad for Baker Mayfield. He actually had a pretty good game, but Baltimore was just too good for the Bucs.
Well, Mike Evans got hurt. You know, that was a play that normally would have been a touchdown when he ended up stretching his hamstring. But, you know, I love the way Baker's playing with Tampa. He gives them a chance every week. He's been consistent. Now, he had 3 interceptions in that game, which is rare for him. But they'll be fine. That division is I think, they should win it based on what I'm seeing so far.
I got to tell you, I thought so.
Yeah.
But when you just lost Mike Evans, I don't know how long that'll be, but the injury to Godwin, oh my gosh, did you see that? When they say on the broadcast that the truck says we're not going to show you the replay, and honestly, I saw the end of the play, and it was one of those where his ankle, which it ended up for Chris Godwin being a dislocated ankle, I think is the term, but when your foot is leaning by the bottom to the right, and you know that's not the normal way it goes, and they say, we're not showing the replay, you know it's bad. Yeah. I can't see him coming back. So who are they going to use as a wide receiver?
Yeah, the injuries are going to be a factor, but it's next man up. I don't know who they have on the bench, but they have a pretty good offensive scheme, and their defense is above average. And, you know, the rest of that league is just kind of figuring it out. You know, New Orleans is up and down. They started out playing really well. And Atlanta, you know, is not consistently good every week. So I think they've got a chance if they can overcome their injuries.
Speaking of injuries, this is just a crazy year. First of all, I don't know if it really hurts Cleveland because Cleveland made a mistake with Deshaun Watson. It's pretty evident. But he's out for the year now. And then other teams that have already been banged up that lost players, San Francisco, they lost Brandon Ayuk. He's gone. That's an ACL, MCL. You're not going to see him for over a year. And then Deebo Samuel had some sort of pneumonia. He tried to play in the game, bless his heart, but pneumonia.
Yeah. And then they've got C-Mac still on the sideline, Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
So, and they're expecting him to come back in a week or two, but, you know, he's dealing with a fairly sensitive injury himself. So San Francisco injuries is a big factor for them right now. Yeah. Seattle's not really running away with the division. They've been most consistent. So we'll have to see what happens because Arizona looks like they're trying to make a statement as well.
I believe in Kyler Murray. My question for you with Seattle is, do you believe in Geno Smith?
I do. He's played pretty well for, you know, this being his 3rd year as a starter. But he doesn't turn the ball over. I like the way they use him to throw intermediate passes in their passing game. They got a good running attack. And their defense is fairly solid. Yeah, I like this team.
Speaking of guys coming back, you mentioned McCaffrey, who's critical to that team. Tua, they say, could come back week 8. That's next week. If you were the agent of Tua Tagovailoa, would you say, yeah, go? Or would you say, wait a few more weeks, man? What would you do?
I'd get him back out there, man. He wants to play, and the sooner he plays, the better, because you don't want the rust to set in. You know, they got to protect him. I think, you know, he understands the risk. He understands the risk as it relates to concussions as well as any other injury when you walk on that field on Sunday. So I'll be happy to see him back in the lineup if that's what he wants to do. He certainly gives them a chance to win, and they need him desperately.
Well, I don't know that they're going to catch Buffalo 5-2, and Josh Allen is starting to play really good again. But they're 2-4. I guess if you're going to salvage this season, this is it, right here.
Yeah, I mean, they just need to get on a run, and they'll be fine. The Jets aren't doing anything. The Patriots aren't doing anything. So, I mean, they've got a chance. If he can come back and play, you know, 85% of what he was a year ago, I think they can be effective.
I got to ask you, I'm going to ask the same thing of Mike Keith. What is this infatuation with this international series of playing all these games in Europe, in London a few. You had, you might have had one in Ireland. I'm not sure. I know the NCAA did. You got one in Munich coming up in a couple of weeks. Is this all just about a morning position where you can watch football at 9:30, or is there? I mean, it makes no sense to have a European team in the league. Travel would be a nightmare. You really couldn't do that. The one that you could do would be maybe Mexico City. That's really not that far from Dallas if you think about it. But it makes the fact that they're doing all these games over there just it boggles my mind.
I mean, it's a really good question. It may just get down to the economics. I mean, they may be just picking up some really good advertising revenue when they show games or play games in those locations that they don't typically get. I don't know. But there certainly has to be a reason why he's adding to those number of games every year.
Yeah. All right, games coming up this week. Your Cowboys will be back in action. My Bears play the Commanders.
Huge.
I think that's one of the better games. You got a favorite game?
I don't at this point. I'm just looking forward to them strapping it up and going at it. I think at this point, as we're getting to the midway part of the season, we're going to start to see teams separate themselves a little bit. But what's been great for me every weekend is that the games have just really been competitive all the way through the fourth quarter for the most part.
Yeah. The Cowboys are at San Francisco. That's the Sunday night football game. If ever there was a time to play San Francisco, it would be now. Yet, the Niners are 4.5-point favorites. I'm a little surprised at that.
I'm not. I mean, it's obvious that the Cowboys have a lot of issues. And what seems to be there is because they're losing, they're getting beat badly at home. And it's starting to come out that they don't focus on the details. There's a lot of guys that it's undisciplined. Troy Aikman was very critical of the way that their receivers come off the ball now as opposed to other. Right. So all of this detail, all this coaching. So I'm not surprised. I think they're imploding as we watch.
As always, my friend, appreciate it. Congratulations on your Vols. I know makes you happy. That's for sure. That's Jeff Moore on the NFL. He's brought to you by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. It's real simple. You want that dream home? You got land you're not sure how to utilize? You go and talk to Ken. And now we got a third generation Williams in it. Those guys, great to talk to, see all the little details in the big picture all at once. Maybe you love your home, but you want the modern amenities. How about a renovation? I call it renovation with innovation. You want California closets, the media room with the speakers in the walls. You want the granite tops. You want the island in the kitchen. They do it all. They know how to take the older home and make it a modern palace right where you are so you don't have to move locations. You love your lot. Why move? Just get modern with all the good folks and the great minds at Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. We head to Nashville, and Mike Keith, he comes your way next.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The 2025 Range Rover Sport sits right at the heart of the Land Rover lineup, offering a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility. Smaller and more agile than a full-size Range Rover, it's a great option for everyone who wants luxury and practicality. Every model comes with 8-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive standard. Whether you navigate city streets or tackle rough terrain, Range Rover Sport has you covered. Every drive is powerful and breathtaking. The 2025 Range Rover Sport is the epitome of sporty luxury. Test drive one at Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City.
Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South, but size isn't their only difference. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Gold membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for unlimited range time. Free gun rentals with purchase of ammo and members lounge access. Top Gun 2770 Whitten Road and TopGunMemphis.com. Always shoot with the best. Top Gun Memphis.
Bricks powder coating for a beautiful finish every time. Bricks Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
For life's spectacular moments, only a real diamond will do. At Sissy's Log Cabin, you'll discover a brilliant selection of natural diamonds, along with our promise of unmatched quality and service. The only real diamond is a natural diamond from Sissy's. Find yours when you stop by any of our 6 locations or shop online at sissyslogcabin.com. Discover the natural diamond of your dreams, only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
Summer may be over, but yard work, it goes on. Don't worry, Colonial Hardware makes it easy for you. Colonial Hardware has all the lawn and garden tools you need from the best brands in the business. Ferris, Snapper, Husqvarna, Toro, Echo, Shindaiwa, and Billigo. Servicing most brands of lawn equipment, Colonial's master service techs will keep you going year-round. Colonial Hardware, family-owned and operated, and serving you for nearly 50 years. Next to Bass Pro and Lincoln at Sycamore View, and online at colonialhardwareinc.com.
All 24-month lease, $650 acquisition fee, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte RE 834-938, MSRP 22,615, Telluride RG 56-3000, MSRP 40,805, Sportage S73 40278, MSRP 29,135, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax title and license, see dealer for complete details, offer valid through 10/31/2024 with approved credit, dealer stock only.
Hey, Jeff Allen, are you ready to give the Mid-South your best deal ever at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah?
I'm always ready, Randy. Gas prices got you down? How about 41 MPG highway in a 2024 Kia Forte LXS at $233.86 a month? $34.99 do it signing. 2025 Kia Sport is $269 per month. $34.99 do it signing. And get ready for the holidays and hit the road in a 2024 Kia Telluride S, $408.62 per month. $39.99 do it signing. All 24-month lease.
Plus, all those bad boys come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Or online anytime at KiaMountMoriah.com.
A program reminder for tomorrow. We're doing something a little bit different. Joe Dank, my business guy, as you know, is going to join me. He's the chair of the Alzheimer's Walk. I'm the co-chair. And we're going to try a little mini radiothon. The walk is this Saturday in Shelby Farms. That's the biggest fundraiser for the Alzheimer's Association. They have them throughout the state. And this should be a big one here. We are going to we're going to sell off through the phones at 901-360-8255. A Penny Hardaway basketball that's signed, a Ryan Silverfield football. We have AutoZone Liberty Bowl tickets. We may have a few more things that will come up, but we're going to talk a little bit about it in the first 2 segments, and then Munzie will join us for the finale. So that's tomorrow, Alzheimer Radiothon. We've never done it before. We're going to give it a try. Want to raise a little bit of money because we're getting closer to figuring out a cure. In the meantime, let's go down 40 to Nashville. Mike Keith joins us now, the voice of the Titans. Good morning. I thought interesting game at Buffalo for you guys. First half was pretty good. It was a tale of 2 different halves, especially for Mason Rudolph. Good in the first, not so good in the second. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, when you have to lead with the first half was good, that's not great. I mean, I
was trying to be nice, Mike.
Well, no, and you are, and I'm appreciative of that. But that that's kind of become a theme with us, and it's worse than any. I mean, it's bad to be 1-5, but in some ways that hits you harder because you see. We can do this. I mean, we did it in the first half. We're playing really. We outgained them in the first half, 217-90. So the defense is playing well. The offense is productive. But here are the problems: missed opportunities and not scoring enough points. I mean, you had a real opportunity in that ball game to be ahead conservatively 17-7 at the half. And it's a very different game if you have a 2-score lead. But when you don't cash in, when you fumble a center snap, you do things like that, it drives you crazy because it wipes away the things that you see that you are capable of doing. And this wasn't like any massive fluke. This was just a football team operating. And that's where the Titans are right now is they get behind the 8 ball and they just aren't able to get in that flow anymore like what we saw. And it continues to befuddle Brian Callahan and obviously frustrates him to a great extent.
I read a criticism of the call, which is so easy to do in hindsight. If it works, everybody's happy. But that the game flipped early second half, third quarter, on a 4th down, and 2 that you didn't get. Do you buy that theory?
It did. I mean, it did. But the thing was, all of the analytics say go right there. And, there have been fewer and fewer people who have criticized the decision to go. They don't like the play call, because it didn't work.
Right.
which is where it's at, and if it worked, it'd just been brilliant. We were blowing them off the ball in the first half. And, we thought we'd come out and take them off the ball right there, and we just were not able to make that happen. But, yeah, the game did flip because at that point, what's funny is you get the ball to start the second half on the road anywhere, but particularly in the NFL, it's fantastic because the home crowd's still in the bathroom line, the beer line, the hot dog line. I mean, it's quiet. You can function. And so you have that possession where you've got a decided advantage and you have it end, and then they go down and score 6 plays later. And then the funny thing, Dave, is ironic funny, not ha-ha, but people get back to their seats and they're ahead 14-10. They're like, this is great. I leave and I come back. And now, and so the stadium, which was kind of rumbly in the first half, a few boos as they went 3 and out to start the game, then it just turns. And listen, we knew they were coming in the second half. I mean, you're not holding Josh Allen to 90 yards in the second half. I mean, it's coming. You've got to get busy. And the Titans just weren't busy enough, and clearly, once they fell behind, it was not good.
Yeah. So Rudolph gets the start because there is an injury to the shoulder of Will Levis.
Right.
I know he's being evaluated early this week. I don't know if it's today or tomorrow. What's your gut feel? What do you think? Because you've got no easier chore going to Buffalo because now you go to Detroit, and that's a really good football team.
Yeah, they're a little excited about their ball club right now, and they play indoors. So yeah, it'll be just as loud, if not louder. So what happened with Levis is obviously he banged up the shoulder on Monday Night Football against Miami. We have the bye week. He comes back 2 weeks ago to practice, and practice goes well. He's a little sore, but he's okay. Well, so then he plays a game 13 days after he's played in his last game. He goes out and he plays in that game. Well, then he comes in last week, and he's hurting because it's only 2 to 3 days after the last game. And it doesn't go well on Wednesday. He doesn't do a lot. On Thursday, he's not effective. And so the decision was made going into the weekend they were going to make a change, that he just couldn't play. And so I think they're going to try to make the decision earlier this week in order to give Mason Rudolph every number 1 rep if he's the guy, or to give Will Levis all the number 1 reps if he's the guy. So I think I don't know if they'll announce it, Dave, but I think they'll try to make the decision quicker because obviously there were some things that Mason probably could have and would have done differently had he had a little more time to prepare.
If this were a college game, I guarantee you there would be no prior giveaway. They would go game time decision.
Right.
The NFL, you've got to list that at some point. Probable, questionable.
Right.
I like that. What's your sense? How honest are they in the NFL? And I think, like the SEC for league games is going that way now, and they're doing a lot of this because of gamblers, really.
Yeah, it's better. I mean, it's better to be upfront. It's like on Friday, Will was listed as limited in practice and questionable for the game. So he went limited on Wednesday, full participant on Thursday, and then he was back to limited on Friday. So there was a strong hint that something was amiss at that moment. If you're reading between the lines at that point, you're thinking he may not play. And, it's more honest. It's not 100%. I mean, I've seen a couple of situations where guys have been listed as doubtful and then they've played, and the league frowns on that. I mean, if you want to take a big fine, do that. Be dishonest with your injury report because the league doesn't play with that. And the trouble with those fines is you got to answer to the owner about that. That's not a player being fined. That's not coming out of that. I mean, that's the franchise being fined. And so somebody has to answer to the owner at that point. You mean you just gave $100,000 of my money away? You did what? Not cool, and doesn't happen very often.
Since we're speaking about the league, explain to me the infatuation with all of these international games. I can't see that there's going to be a European team in the NFL anytime soon just because of travel. And is it just for the morning platform that you get an extra little window of national participation, or what do you think it is?
Well, it's two things. First of all, we will eventually have an international game window every morning, all 18 weeks. It'll happen. Maybe not in week one, maybe not even in week two. Maybe weeks 3 through 18 we'll have that. Because, I mean, you think about the streaming rights, think about the international television rights, and also think about this too. Our big sponsors as a league, including the FedExes of the world, they're international companies.
Right.
So, if you've got a Coke or a Pepsi or a, McDonald's or, whatever, they're international companies. It's there. The developmental rights are there. And, I mean, look at what China's done with the NBA or what the NBA's done with China, however you want to look at it. I mean, there is so much money to be made. The world is connected by the internet now. The streaming and TV opportunities are there. There's big money. Eventually, David, we will have a division in Europe. We will have an AFC Europe or an NFC Europe or maybe both. That will happen in our lifetimes.
I hope that's right. I hope I live that long, because it just seems to me like Mexico City makes sense just because of travel, but that's six hours or more from the East Coast to get to Europe. So,
but that's no further than going to Seattle. If you're going from Boston,
yeah.
I mean the world. I mean it's just not as big a deal. And when the players see how much money they get off of it, they're like, yeah, I'll be inconvenienced once. Okay.
Maybe they'll bring back the supersonic jets that they took away. Mike, it's always a pleasure speculating and chatting with you. We'll do it again next Tuesday. Good luck in Detroit. Knock them off for my Bears.
There you go. We need to help you out.
There you go. I appreciate it.
See you, David.
That is Mike Keith, the voice of the Tennessee Titans. That'll do it for us. Again, tomorrow's special, we're going to try something. We're going to try to raise money for Alzheimer's. Joe Dent will be here. We will end our day with Jason Munz. Johnny Radio's next. Have a great day, everybody.